Good.
That's so weird. Okay. All right, Andre.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Andre Cilliers is with us for our regular update on the currency markets. Andre is, of course, with Treasury One. Andre, there's having a look around at the commodity cycle. We're hearing more and more that there could still be a significant upside on commodity prices. How, how would that impact the value of the rand?
Well, South Africa is a commodity-rich country, and we are one of the largest producers of commodities in the world. So obviously, when commodities do well, then the export levels increases, the flow of currency increases from exports, and that simply means that we get more currency, impacting positively on the trade balance, impacting positively on the currency.
So all round, when commodity prices go up, it's just a direct correlation with the South African rand strengthening.
Yes, absolutely. It's a direct correlation. And as I said, it's simply because we're exporting a lot, and then there's more dollars coming in. So that ever little words, those little words of supply and demand, more supply of dollars, more sellers, less buyers, positive influence on the currency.
So in this respect, the rand would be almost a price taker because if commodity prices go up, then the rand itself is just going to follow.
The rand itself will just follow. Obviously, it is also something that one needs to take into account that there could be timing differences because companies could actually go into the market at specific times and do hedges. In other words, excuse me, at certain times they would sell more, and then in the times that the price of the commodity is actually high, they would sell less because they've previously sold the dollars in the forward market. So
Okay, so
timing differences is possible.
that sorts out that side of it. We've been talking a lot about the rand dollar over recent times. What's been going on against other currencies, though? If you like, the basket of currencies against which the rand can be measured.
Well, for a long period, the rand's actually done very well against the euro. It's done very well against the pound. I mean, we saw the pound very close to the 19 levels. We saw the euro rand down to the 1645, 1650 levels. In the last week or so, we have seen that retreating somewhat against some of those major currencies. And that was simply because those currencies actually depreciated quite a bit against the dollar, but the rand depreciated more. In other words, the percentage of the rand against the dollar was more than what the other currencies depreciated. And hence, we've also lost a little bit of value against some of those currencies. But we are still trading at relatively strong levels, and I don't think anything to be concerned about at this stage.
So, if you're an importer, say from Japan, would you change your strategy at the moment, given what's happened recently?
No, not really. I would retain with my strategy. And the strategy, as we've said over the last couple of weeks, when the rand was down at the 1360, 1370 levels, it presented excellent periods for the importers to come into the markets. And with the uncertainty that lies over our heads at the moment, and we can speak about that a little bit later, it's still a time for the importers to make sure that the levels of cover is sufficient for the very short period, 1 month, 2.5, 3 months, because a lot can happen in a very short period of time. And
You
I
talk
would
about that.
retain that strategy against all the currencies.
No, you talk about the uncertainty. Well, most of the nation watched Cyril Ramaphosa last night at 8 o'clock tell us that we're back into level 4. He was very somber. We've got at least 2 weeks of very, very restricted economic activity as a consequence of it. Is this something we should be paying attention to when we're having a look at a longer term from the currencies prospect?
Yes, it is. It can, if we continue on this path that we are, it could have very detrimental effects on the economy. It could push our economy back into negative growth again if this continues. So we have to take note of that. It's very, very important. Very, very tired last night. Somebody mentioned that to me, and I said, if I keep on talking to people and asking them to, wear masks and social distancing, and nobody wants to listen, then I also look tired because it's a little bit of a headmaster talking to the children at school and nobody listens.
Yeah, but how do you change it? How do you change the thinking of people who've now had well over a year of the dreadful COVID coming through, and for most people, they haven't got it, and secondly, those who have got it, only a very small percentage of pretty older people have succumbed.
Yes, that is true. But, the older people that died is still dear and loved ones in our families. You know, I do not understand that you can be so oblivious that it doesn't bother you at all. I've spoken to two people this morning, and in both cases, they told me that they have positive cases in their households. So this is not far away anymore. This happens to people close to us. We know about it, we see it, we hear it. And really, I mean, it's all over the news, it's all over social media. The number of infections, and still people don't listen. Uh, and if we only pay a little bit of attention and be a little bit more cautious, then we wouldn't have these unnecessary closures. But as long as people are not going to listen and not going to abide by any of the rules, uh, we are going to have a problem. And I was speaking once again to a few people. The first thing that they say is, how can they come and circumvent and come around some of the regulations? For Pete's sake, if that's your endeavor to see how you can get around this, the interventions that are being taken, then we're not going to solve anything. And then people should not complain. If the economy doesn't do well, then they should not complain if things go in a wrong direction. But that was not the question. The question was impact on the economy, a severe impact if we do not pay attention to what happens around us.
Yeah, well, I'm through it now, fortunately, from my positive testing. And most of the team at BizNews have also got through it as well. But not everybody is in the same boat. And this is a vicious, vicious virus, which strikes indiscriminately. And I think that's really the thing that must be concerning all of those. Let's hope that people are actually listening to it this time round. But when you then project that onto the currency and onto the economy and onto where we might be going in future, from what you're seeing right now, Andre, is this something that could be impacting, or something that exporters and importers should be paying attention to?
Absolutely. They should be paying attention to it. If we go into further lockdowns, and we'll know that in 2 weeks' time, this could have a very, very negative the currency. It could have a very negative impact on markets as such in South Africa, and that will directly influence the currency. It will directly impact on inflation rates, on petrol prices. So the man in the street will really suffer if this currency goes back to 17 and 18 levels, because an economy needs to close down. It will impact on unemployment figures, but all of that will hit the currency. So exporters might now sit back on the cautious side and wait a little bit. Importers might run in and buy some cover in anticipation of further lockdowns. And that in itself, these moves in anticipation of what can happen can drive the currency to weaker levels. And that will impact, as I say, further down on inflation, on interest rates, etc. So a very, very negative period, an uncertain period that we're now entering into again.
And just hoping that the penny has finally dropped.
We can only hope that, and we can only hope that people actually do go for their vaccinations. I know that tomorrow I'll be standing in the queue for my second Pfizer vaccination, and there's no ways that I will be missing it. And I can only hope that everybody in this country listens to the calls that are being made, pays attention to it, and if they are up for vaccination, get the vaccination and stay out of hospital. It does not say that you can't get the virus and cannot get sick, but it simply says that if you've been vaccinated, you will have it in a lighter form and you will remain out of hospital, because that's what we ultimately need to do: clear our hospital beds for the really, really sick people.
And you don't want to go into hospital. I have a friend who's just got out of it, and he says, "Whew, what quite an experience." Well, Andre, hopefully next week we'll have something a little more fun to talk about, perhaps with the light starting to lift under this period of gloom.
Let's hope we do.
Thanks, man. Sorry about the tech there. It was the strangest thing. I moved around and came back, and it had all switched off. It was just extraordinary.
Yeah, I said all you did was get up and close the door.
That's all.
That's all you did.
Great stuff. Oh my
Okay,
word,
enjoy the
Andre.
rest of your afternoon.
It worked better. I don't know if you felt it, but to me it felt like it was more of a conversation this time.
Yeah, I think so too. It was less of an
Lovely.
interview, more of a discussion.
Exactly. Wonderful.
Okay.
And that works
100.
better. That does. Thanks, man.
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye then.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Peter, can you hear me? Hello,
Hello?
Peter. Ha! You got it. How are you, Peter? Can you hear me? Mm-mm. Okay.